should matter, shouldn't matter?
What do you think?
Oh, I think body count matters 100%. 100%. But you don't, correct?
I don't care about a lot of things, so
Sure.
it's just like
You don't-
just one more thing that it's just
You
like,
don't
it
care
doesn't
about?
seem like a big deal.
Okay, so if body count doesn't matter, what's your body count?
Oh, that's like personal though.
Okay. Body count should matter, shouldn't matter?
What do you
She's right. It's personal. And I would never walk up to a woman and ask her, what's your body count? For me, it's more of her sexual reputation and the types of men that she usually goes for. Because if I'm not the type that she usually goes for, like if she goes for like thugs and hoodlums and now she's going to choose me, who's going to get hurt in the end? Me. Because I bet those men are still in her life. And one day she's going to want a sample of that again.
You want to do OnlyFans or whatever, and that's how you want to make your money, that is fine. But then if you do have that, you cannot come then and say, I want to find my perfect man. I've never had OnlyFans. I've never started OnlyFans. I never will have an OnlyFans because I want to be married to the perfect man of like my dreams per se that I would want to be with, that I would want to raise my kids with me. So I would never have that because I know that a man that I dream to have would not want a woman that is doing that. If you
This seems like an easy question to be answered by most men. But the thing is, I'm being honest. I know some women with some decent personalities that may do OnlyFans, that may be on Instagram and things like that. Now, knowing what I know now, I would not marry them at all. But I would date them. I would smash, basically. And they're not bad people at all. But the thing is, the fact that they do that shows a manipulation on their part.
I don't consider myself to be a particularly ethical person, but I am fair.
Welcome, my friends, to the RP Experience. Peace and love to my brothers and sisters out there. Thank you for hitting the like button, subscribing, sharing, and turn on all notifications so you know when I have a whole new video up. Today's video, and I'm not sure of the title because I was playing with some ideas in my head. Of course, though, some of them might be clickbait, so I'm trying not to do that. But does your past matter? And that's what we are going to get into right now. Now, our guest star here, not officially, but off of a conversation that he had with Candice Owens, I'm going to use Andrew Tate as a example. I picked those videos in the beginning about body count, about women doing OnlyFans or something, because those are things that men value. Women usually do not value the thing about the body count type of thing. But see, I feel like they're being disingenuous right there because the same way that men don't really care about a woman's money, yes, there are some men that do, but most men, we're like, hey, the financial burden is on me anyway. So any money that you are making, you're not going to help out. Now, there are some balanced relationships that the man and the woman help each other out, but often I usually see with the majority of women that they feel like they shouldn't have to pay no type of bills. They shouldn't have to like help at all. Let's say a man is covering the mortgage, the electric bill, um, the groceries. Okay. And maybe the woman could at least cover the water bill. That might be like $10 or $20 a month. And she might be like, oh, hell no. A man's supposed to do all of that. I'm not saying a woman should. I'm just saying that's what's out there. So for men, we don't really care about your money because most of the time it doesn't help us anyway. You know, I mean, I should have this discussion in my marriage, and maybe things might have ended a little differently, but I'm pretty sure there were men and women in her ear because I only needed help at certain times because I wasn't always financially sound as I am now because I was stretching myself thin by trying to spend time, take her out, and do those things right there, and not always doing the overtime, um, working around the clock and such. Anyway, I could go on, and this is a separate conversation. But anyway, we're going to share this conversation, and I'm not trying to paint Andrew in a bad light right here, but since we as men now is starting to hold women accountable by the things that they do in their past, and of course, Fresh and Fit will say, which that's true, women are judged by their past, men are judged by their future. But that's like loosely stated because some things you do in your past can be really bad. What if a man has abused children in his past or something? Or I can't use those words, but that PED word has done that type of thing. Okay, and now he has seemingly changed. Are you comfortable dealing with that man? Even though that was in the past, that was 10, 20 years ago. But has he not had no instances since then? That's where one of my lines is. If somebody has did something to hurt kids or something, I'm kind of like, that's almost like unforgivable kind of way because they are weak, vulnerable, and you're going to affect them and mess them up for the rest of their life. And they're probably going to end up doing what you did to them to some other guy. So before I get in, or another woman. So before I get on to a rant here, let me share this clip.
All right, let's just jump right into this. Andrew Tate.
Long time.
I know, it's been a very long time.
Very long time.
Actually, I met you downstairs at the Ritz.
Correct.
George and I were engaged at the time.
Yep.
And I probably was very swept up in George and barely got time to talk to you. But I do remember you being very polite. So it's interesting to fast forward to today, and you were very much in the UK circuit.
Yeah.
Now it seems like your celebrity is kind of really hitting the US market. They're kind of finding you for the first time, digging up a bunch of old clips, and there's a lot of pressure now on conservatives to say something really awful about you.
There seems to be a pressure on everybody on all sides to say something awful about me. I kind of feel like I've been placed in a position where there's always someone attacking me new each day. But I guess I was built for it because it doesn't bother me like it should, perhaps.
You seem to be doing pretty well given the circumstances.
I know the truth in my heart, and I know that what I say is the truth, and I understand very well the internet and how it works. And I also think I'm perspicacious enough to understand there's certainly a degree of weaponized virtue and perhaps a degree of jealousy and perhaps a few other things are involved in all of these attacks. I don't believe that people who sit and attack somebody for their past, especially something from so long ago, are genuinely virtuous. I don't think it's about virtue. I think it's about, well, I can get some clicks this way, or I can get some views that way, or he did the biggest interview ever, or whatever it is. There's certainly some other motivations. And I don't want to say water off a duck's back. I don't want to come across as arrogant. However, I do believe that since the dawn of human time, every single king with any kind of empire was constantly at war.
Okay, we're going to fast forward from here because he goes on a mini rant, which he is saying some interesting stuff, but he is getting off a topic. So no,
I think that's what it is.
So I did see a mashup clip that we're not going to show because I thought it was unfair. I will say that.
Yeah.
Only because there was no context provided to the clips. It was just an extract of something that you said that 10 years ago. Some of them were literally 10 years ago.
Yep.
Didn't know what year it was from, didn't know who you were talking to, didn't know what context it was. And I've been victimized online by something like that before, where somebody takes something abstract and says, well, this is what must be what she means, until they're provided the full context of the clip.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, I'm not going to share the video because I know I have it on another video, but yes, he talks about how he would seduce these women and then turn them into cam girls and such. And of course, though, that was years ago. Look, we all know that he is a charming guy, okay, that a lot of women will fall for if he tends to talk to them a bit too much. And we also knows his badass side. So, I mean, is nothing wrong there. But with people that have that silver tongue, I'm always wary of them because it's always like, are they telling the truth or are they trying to manipulate you? And there's no hate there. I have a lot of respect for the man for what he's been able to do. But for some of the things that he has done, I don't blindly follow. He's not always coming from a honest place, at least from what I can see. And now, because he knows how to maneuver around social media, he's going to tend to say things now that he may not personally believe in his life, just so he doesn't look bad or he doesn't piss certain people off now.
And I also take exception to, I think, digging back 10 years. I don't know who could survive that litmus test. I'm 34 years old today.
Yeah.
10 years ago, today I speak to my audience. I talk about, they call me puritanical. I talk about, not drinking.
Yeah.
I think the biggest change has been becoming a mother.
Yeah.
And it would really be unfair if we went and found Candice at 24 years old, liberal, dancing at One Oak and said, well, look at these clips of Candice Owens. Fortunately, I had no cameras in my face 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You somehow did. So I think it's a bit unfair. I also think that some of the critique that is coming your way is coming from people who are well-intentioned, like they actually don't perceive maybe perhaps, okay, this is 10 years ago, what the context is, has he changed since? So I will ask the question, and we are going to get into some of those clips. You said you're an open book.
Yeah.
How have you transformed? And I've seen changes just, I think, in the last 5 years.
Yep.
Who are you today? How have you transformed?
That's a very good question. It's also very important when you talk about Candice from 10 years ago. The idea that you did something 10 years ago, which you would no longer agree with, is one thing. But the second thing, to come along to the conclusion that you now have no value to add to the world would be massively unfair, right? Everybody changes, and that's fine.
Now, he makes a great point right here, and he's absolutely correct. People do change. People do become better or worse over time. Truthfully, I think you have to always monitor a person from year to year, because they can be a good person today, a bad person tomorrow, and that goes vice versa. The thing is, though, there's always a limit, I think. And also, people have a freedom of choice. I'll say, for example, even though that's not my hang up with the body count thing, within reason. And as I say, I do go by their sexual reputation. If they had slept with everybody in the neighborhood or at the job and they want me to take them seriously, hell no. Because not only is there a thing of being embarrassed, it's also a thing of like, I'm going to commit and get serious with you, and then if you turn out to be cheating with one of your coworkers at your job that you probably already hooked up with, who is to blame for making that decision to get with you in the first place? My fault for doing that. Now, it's your fault for being a shitty human being, but I saw the writing on the wall. I didn't want to judge, but I don't judge people living their life, but I do judge when I feel like it's going to affect mine and hurt me. That's when I do look at you like, hey, you're good, but stay over there. Or either we can hang out and have a good time, but again, stay over there. And let me say this real quick. This is how I can watch a guy like Andrew Tate or Coach Greg Adams or I was about to say Samuel L. Jackson, but uh, Kevin Sam. We have to put limits on, like, okay, while we can't condemn somebody for things they cannot change, they can't go back in the time machine and change their past. At the same time, we can't turn a total blind eye and totally forget, because okay, I noticed both parties tend to do this, and then I'm not going to get too political right here. It can be conservative or it could be liberal. Whenever your party fucks up, it's like you turn a blind eye.
I'm not the kind of person who's going to sit and apologize for his past. I believe all's well that ends well. I believe we're humans and we grow and we learn. I'd be a fool and I'd be disingenuous to sit here and pretend I was sorry for something I did in the past. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be.
So this is a conflicting thing that we as men have right now, because there are some men that will say, never admit that you are sorry, never admit that you are in pain, like you're like still rock. See, we get these messages from both the men and the women, and it doesn't do us good for our mental health. Yes, we shouldn't curl up in the ball and cry, but we shouldn't act like we're a piece of steel and we are not. And plus, it's like levels to it. Some men could take things better than some other men. A guy that's like 250 pounds could take a punch better from a guy around the same weight than I could. I would definitely get knocked out and probably my jaw broke. So that's the thing right there that I feel like he's being disingenuous with. And I would tell men to don't follow that example right there. If you make a mistake, yes, own it, but don't double down. That's like the same thing when women will do something wrong in the relationship. Like she could hit you, straight curse you out. She won't say she's sorry. She would just like cry and make you feel sorry for her or something. That right there is like no different. Like she's not sorry for what she did. She just feel bad of the fact that you may just leave her. So I think that message right there is toxic. I'm sorry, Andrew, you are wrong right there. Maybe in your life it works for you, but it doesn't work for every man, and most men should not follow this right here, unless if you want to be a toxic individual that holds all that stuff in, and then on your deathbed, then you feel sorry. It's too late then.
Be very honest to everyone at home. I've talked at length for a very long time about my history and the fact I used to run a webcam business, and I don't feel guilty for that. I know that's maybe what they want from me. I don't feel sorry for that. I've never hurt anybody. It has nothing to do with my current criminal case. Everybody who worked for me was very positive. In fact, my number one supporter is currently online, and my best lifelong friends and some of the letters I got in jail were from people who worked for me at that time. And I had a business, and I'm not going to sit here and try and pretend that I feel guilty or I feel sorry for that. I'm from a low income background. I did what I had to do to survive. And truthfully, all in all, being very honest, I don't think what I did was really that bad. And I want to say that. And I know people are going to lose their minds for it, but I didn't sell drugs. I didn't kill anybody. I mean, what did I do? I found a gap in the market and I helped some people organize some accounts on an internet website. That's what I did. And they're going to try and criticize me and crucify me for the next 100 years because of it, because of clips that were made 10 years ago. I think it's disingenuous, and I don't think anyone actually really cares about the virtue of it, because nobody who was involved in my life back then is complaining about anything. I think it's just an attack on me. And certainly we learn and we grow and we change, but it's very interesting how hypocritical the idea of looking at somebody's life over such a long period actually is. I mean, we can look at Donald Trump, right? Who I'm a fan of. I guess I know you've had your ups and downs with him, but in the conservative sphere, he's pretty well respected. Donald Trump used to own the Miss Universe pageant. Are we going to criticize him? Are we going to crucify him? What about the girls he had in Miss Universe who decided to go on and do Playboy magazine? Is he a bad person now? Why? Now, that's not Christian values, right? People are messy and life is messy and nothing is completely clean. And this idea that you're going to find somebody and 10 or 11 years ago, they did something which might even be slightly distasteful, not even illegal, and you're going to crucify him forever. I just don't believe that's genuine virtue. I think it's just an attack.
I do think what's happening right now is they are wrongly conflating you having run a webcam business, however long it was ago, to the criminal cases happening in Romania. And this is why I interjected in my voice when people were saying, he's not a conservative, he's not a Christian. I don't understand why Christians are giving him a platform.
And I'm very sorry to interrupt. I'm very sorry to interrupt you. But yeah, I will say right now, I would never consider myself a conservative from that standpoint.
Right.
I'm a rational actor. I'm a reasonable person. I'm intelligent. I use my brain. And I guess that makes me align with many conservative issues overall because the other side have lost their mind.
You just said about the webcam business. So you say you don't have any guilt for it.
I'm not sorry. I don't operate in that frame. I don't think it's an intelligent way for a man to go through life to say, I'm sorry. At a younger age, I did the best I could possibly do. And I did the best I believed at the time. And you grow from it and you learn. And perhaps there's times in your life where you look back and think, well, maybe I would have done this differently because hindsight's always 20/20. But every rapper sold drugs. Like you get to a certain stage in your career where you no longer sell drugs and you don't do it anymore. But that's part of the life journey and life's messy. And I'm not going to sit here and apologize to any conservative who wants to sit me down and try and give me some moral high ground garbage. I'm not going to listen to it. I had a very rough upbringing, a very tough life. And it could have been so much worse in so many ways. I've done nothing illegal. I've never hurt anybody. Everybody who was involved in my life back then are massive supporters of me. And I think it's very hypocritical for someone to sit, look at a situation they were not involved in and don't understand, look at old clips taken out of context, and then tell me and a whole bunch of people who were in my life who were all perfectly happy that something bad happened and something wrong happened. I don't think that's genuine. And for that reason, I'm not going to sit and be preached to by these people who are imperfect themselves. Everybody's imperfect. And another thing that's really important, we talk about Christian values. I also think that I find it very interesting and ironic that I'm somehow the problem and these Christians feel like they need to come and attack me now in the name of Christian.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough with that right there. I mean, he makes a lot of great points and he's not totally wrong. But the thing is, I've watched him go on shows and lay those women out when he's debating them on their body count, on them being 304s, on them on their life choices. Did they hurt anyone? No. If anything, they hurt themselves. So that's the only thing that I'm on agreement with the women. But that's going to be a separate thing there. And I did videos on that of how I feel of how when women do certain things, I just feel and think that's going to be detrimental to my life and my sanity if I take them seriously and if I commit to them. As far as hanging out and stuff, as long as we keep in that line, then fine. We can do that. But I can't really take you seriously. Yeah, so I mean, they can say the same thing. They're not perfect. They made mistakes. But it's their choice. This is why I believe it's everybody's choice. I don't think that you should like harass somebody about their past. Just leave them alone and move on. Don't watch them. Don't pay no attention. If it's a woman that does OnlyFans and you're not okay with that, just tell her like, hey, I'm not comfortable with your lifestyle, and then just keep moving. Now, I know women are not going to do this because they get blind by the status and then the money. But if it's a guy that's like Andrew Tate that thinks some of his thoughts, but is also charming and can come off as being entertaining and stuff, don't whine later when you deal with the dude and he showed you who he was. So that's just something too. Anyway, should your past matters? It depends on the people that you are coming toward. If they don't like your past, it's their choice to not like it. I agree with that totally. That's how I get myself out of that sticky box of like, if I'm not comfortable with a person's their sexual history, or rather their reputation. Like, this is how I can glide through it and not really get boxed in like Andrew Tate boxed himself in by saying what he just said right there. So, that's pretty much it. This video has went long enough, but I wanted to, I try not to just throw up clips bad about somebody without them somewhat explaining themselves just in case I disagree with them. So that's why I will never be one of those guys. But if that's all that I can find of the clip, like if they're doing a street interview, well, hey, we are riding with that. So don't forget to like, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later today. Because I didn't do a full-length video on Saturday, so I should do a second one today. Thank you. Bye.
You have made X, Y, and Z decision. Not everybody has to be okay with that. Yes, you can choose to be a different person today, but not everybody has to be okay with your past, and you can't force people to be okay with your past, and you can't shame people into being okay with your past. I've made decisions that have made me into somebody that there are some people out there that would not be okay with that. But I don't want anybody who can't accept me from my past. Because if you can't accept me and see me from my past, then you can't accept me and see me from my present, and then you don't belong in my future. I can never really truly see you and allow you to see me at a full, vulnerable, intimate level. I'm always going to be hiding something. And it's pretty unfortunate that many of us have made a lot of decisions in our lives that we hide, that we lie about for the rest of our lives, and we never can truly have full honesty. We can never truly have full honesty. We've made some decisions that we would not sign our name to. We've done some things that we would not sign our name to.
We do not live by your rules, dirty word. Your ego has driven you out of truth. You only played yourself, got no game.